What's going on, YouTube family? This your man Pristine, back with another video. Welcome to the battle of two titans. Here on the left, we've got the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and here to the right, we've got the LG G7 ThinQ. Now, these are two powerhouse devices right now. They're both packing the latest top-of-the-line 2018 specs. One cost significantly more than the other, but I mean, I think we all would agree, or most folks would agree, that both of these phones are definitely pretty pricey. I feel like the G7 ThinQ has a bit of an advantage because it's only costing $750 and it's been out for a few months now, you know, maybe 2.5, 3 months. And so you actually can start to find it for deals. I know my man Jay Will just picked him up one from Project Fi for $450, and so that is an absolute steal for this device right here. Now, as we know, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 starting off at $1,000, $999 for the 128 gig variant, and then $1,249.99 for the 512 gigabyte variant. So they completely skipped over the 128 gig and went with, I'm sorry, they got not $1,000 for the 128 gig, and then $1,249, basically $1,250 for the 512 gig for the Note 9. Now, there is a difference in size, if you can't tell. The Galaxy Note 9 is 6.4 inches versus the 6.1 inch that we have here on the LG G7 ThinQ. Both of these displays are Quad HD displays. We've got a Super AMOLED 6.4 inch display here on the Galaxy Note 9, which is probably the best screen on planet Earth right now, right? And then the LG, you know, it's not packing a bad screen at all. It also is a is a Quad HD display. We're running a 1440 by 3120 pixel IPS LCD display. Okay, so that's what we got going here on the LG G7 ThinQ. But again, I mean, you know, I think sitting right next to the Note, man, I mean, the G7 is definitely holding its own as far as screen quality, color reproduction, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you see the wallpapers, those of you that don't know, those of you that really rock with me and know me personally, know that Halloween, Michael Myers, is my all-time favorite horror movie killer. Now, some of you might ask and question my Christianity, but hey, you know what I'm saying? We all got little things here and there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, don't question my Christianity because I'm definitely a firm believer, but it just so happens that my favorite movie genre are horror movies. And Michael Myers was the one when I was younger who literally scared the hell out of me, more so than any other horror figure that I've ever watched. And so I gravitate more towards his movies because his movies have gotten closest to giving me a true scare. A lot of these horror movies that come out nowadays are just comedies to me. And so if you don't know, the new Halloween movie is coming out on October 19th, either October 16th or 19th. So I'm extremely pumped. The Halloween theme music has always been my ringtone all season long. It's not just one of those things where I change it up when Halloween comes around. So, you know, just, you know, my excitement, you know, for the movie, I got Michael Myers on my screensavers on all my devices right now. So I'll drop a link in the description if you guys are into the Halloween genre, if you're into Michael Myers, if you're looking forward to this new movie, or you just think the wallpaper looks cool and you want it, you know, on your phone, then I'll drop a link in the description on where to go to get that wallpaper. And some of the, you know, the ringtones and notification tones that are from the Halloween movie as well, you know. But yeah, so now the Note here, it is coming with 6 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 845 processor. It comes preloaded with 128 gigs of storage that can be expanded up to 2 terabytes. All right. Now the LG G7 ThinQ here is packing 4 gigs of RAM at 64 gigs of internal storage, and LG is claiming that this also, with SD card expansion, can be expanded up to 2 terabytes as well. I mean, so a bit of a difference here from the storage standpoint. I don't believe that there is a G7 ThinQ version that is 128. But I could be wrong about that. There could be different variants that are being sold because I know that both of these phones are being sold unlocked. And so I'm not sure if you buy these unlocked, if you can get it in, you know, the G7 here if you can get it in a higher gigabyte package out of the box. I know with the Note here, you start off at 128 and then you got the other 512 option. Those are the only two options that you got with the Note 9, whether you get it from a carrier or you buy it unlocked. Okay, so definitely be mindful of that. But like I said, the G7 is going to cost you a little bit less. I mean, so you may end up coming out better, as far as money saving if you rocked with the G7 and then just went ahead and got yourself an SD card to get whatever type of memory that you feel you need. You may still end up paying less than what you're going to pay for a Note 9 here. You know what I mean? Now, the other advantage is the Note 9, it's got the S Pen. And so, we all know that the S Pen and, all of its capabilities and things that it can do. And now it's got more functionality with being able to control media, control music, all that kind of thing. You get all the little gestures here and little things that you can do, little applications and things that you can do with the S Pen. You can take photos and everything with the S Pen. I mean, so this is really some innovative technology right here that really, in my opinion, is what sets the Note apart from a lot of different devices right now, man. But it's like, aside from that, I mean, these two devices, in my personal opinion, are closer than the experts may think, because this LG G7 ThinQ is no punk at all whatsoever. Now, from a performance standpoint, you see that both devices are buttery smooth. Okay, so you see scrolling. Both devices are extremely responsive to touch. Opening apps is a complete breeze. Now, these are two Verizon variants. I got both of these phones from Verizon, and they're connected to my Wi-Fi right now. But just really quickly, if we just pop into Google real quick, if you want to see if there's a little bit of a speed difference. Just to see if there's that, a significant differences between, 6 gigs of RAM here versus 4 gigs of RAM. Like I said, both of these devices, they have the same processor, the Snapdragon 845 processor. So, that there's going to be big performance there from both of these devices, considering that they're both housing the 2018 specs. Now, scrolling up and down, I mean, zero lag at all whatsoever, as you can see. And one thing that, Samsung, they seem to have cleaned up their act a bit. I know with the whole, a lot of lagginess and things of that nature. I haven't experienced any of that, and I'm an early adopter, man. I mean, I got this phone on day one. And so here it is, some weeks later, and everything is still buttery smooth. I've been testing the phone out and putting it through its paces, really getting the phone prepared for the full pristine review that's going to be coming. So you guys definitely stay tuned for that. But I got to say that I'm impressed. I mean, again, the LG G7 ThinQ, I mean, it's just buttery smooth. I know that some of you guys have been asking me questions about the boot loop issue and anything like that. I haven't heard any instances of that happening with the G7 ThinQ or with the LG Q7 Plus, because I know that some of you guys were asking me about that, and I haven't heard or heard about any instances where anybody's experiencing the boot loop effect with any of these devices, whether it be the G7 ThinQ or the Q7 Plus. So I gotta say, both of these devices are definitely top performing. Let's just pop into the Bible app real quick, and you see they just popped open at the same time. I mean, so really, I mean, as far as the differences in RAM, like I said, the Note 9, it's got 2 more gigs of RAM here. I don't think you're going to notice a significant difference in speed and stuff like that. I mean, I think that, just the RAM is just going to help the Note 9 be able to manage things a little bit better, so when you start getting into some really intense stuff, multitasking, gaming, all that kind of thing, then that's where those extra 2 gigs of RAM are going to pay dividends. Not to say you're not going to be able to do them here on the G7 ThinQ, because you will, but the fact that the Note 9 has those 2 extra gigs of RAM, I got to give it a slight edge in that particular category. But, I think, really one of the main things that really sets these two phones apart, one is the fact that the Note 9 has the S Pen, because the S Pen is a game changer. Now you can do little things with the LG, which is kind of similar, but not quite, because you got to use your fingers. So I'm just going to go into my tools. Now, if you go into Quickmemo Plus, then this is an application where you can, make memos and things of that nature, and you can use your finger to draw notes and stuff like that. And I know there's different applications and things that you can download from the Play Store that will also give you that functionality. But the fact that Samsung has got a dedicated stylus pen that also has its own functionality, I mean, that's pretty, cutting edge technology right there. So, I would prefer to have the S Pen, over being able to doodle with my finger, but that's just me. That's just a matter of opinion. That's just how I would prefer to do things. Now, another key difference to the LG G7 ThinQ has a it's got a 3,000 milliamp hour non-removable battery, as opposed to the 4,000 milliamp hour battery that we've got in the Galaxy Note 9. Now, you may say, okay, well, the Note 9 is just going to completely destroy the G7 because it's got 1,000 more milliamps. You know what I mean? But pump your brakes though for a second, because just because that the G7 ThinQ's got 3,000 milliamps, it's not to say that it's a slouch in the battery department, and it's actually very surprising. Especially, I'm a light and moderate user, so it's nothing for me to get through a full day and still have some change left over the next day. So I definitely don't have to put phones on a charger every night. Depending, because of how I use them. But I have to say that even on days where I had heavier usage, the 3,000 milliamps got me through a full day and still had some change left over at the end of the day, with absolutely no problem at all whatsoever. And strangely, I find that even though the Note 9 has a bigger battery, the Note 9, it seems like the battery, the battery sustainability isn't as advertised in my personal experience. I'm not saying that I'm not getting good battery life. I mean, I can definitely get through a day, but there's been times where I've noticed that the battery drain on the Note 9 seems to drain significantly quicker for whatever reason, and so I'm left at the end of the day with not as much battery life as I would think that I would have. And I'm not using the Note 9 any different than what I use my G7. Same type of moderate usage or light usage, little conversation here on the phone, text messaging here and there. Every now and then, I may reply to some of you guys that hit me up and with questions or comments about certain videos that you saw. Maybe a little bit of YouTube, a video watching, on like a lunch break while I'm at work or something like that. But I can't say that I've used the Note 9, heavier than I've used the G7 ThinQ. And so it's very interesting to me that although the Note 9 has the bigger battery, it seems like I'm able to, for whatever reason, sustain more battery on the G7 ThinQ, and it actually has a smaller battery. So that is definitely something that is making me go, Not to say that the battery on the Note 9 is bad, because it's not. And on both of these devices, I mean, you've got battery optimization settings that you can set to get some serious battery sustainability. But just be aware that when you do that, there's going to be certain features and functions that are going to get disabled that are going to give you that battery staying power. And there's a bunch of different things that you can choose from, at least like 4 or 5 different options on each device as far as how you want to optimize your battery. And before you choose one, it's going to tell you exactly what it's going to shut down. So, I mean, with certain battery optimizations, just for example, there may be certain applications that you may not be able to access. Applications that are known for, just completely draining your battery. When you're trying to optimize battery and just have battery staying power, then there's always something that you're going to have to do without. And so just keep, be mindful of that. But both of these phones give you that option to do so. I'd have to say that, both devices are solid in the battery department. But the Note 9, even though it's got the bigger battery, it's not completely blowing me away. You know what I mean? It's not completely blowing me away. And the fact that the G7 has a smaller battery, I would actually expect for the Note 9 to be able to have way more battery life at the end of a day, than the G7. And that just hasn't been the case for whatever reason. But, nonetheless, I mean, both phones are definitely solid in the battery department. You shouldn't have any problem getting through a full day worth of battery life on these phones. Now, again, that's depending on usage. I mean, you can definitely fry these batteries with tons of video and music streaming, video game playing some of the most graphically intense games for hours on end. Yeah, then, if you're like heavy on the phone like that, just going hard in the paint on it, then of course you're going to fry the battery in no time, and you're going to want to keep a battery pack of some sort with you, or you're going to want to keep the charger with you so you can go ahead and plug in. But I mean, if you're a lighter, moderate user, you can't really go wrong with either one of these particular devices. All right. Now, the build quality, I gotta say that the build quality is pretty solid, for both of these devices. It's the 2018, par, I guess. You got Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back on both of these devices. The glass on the front and back, which gives them that wireless charge capability. Both of these devices have dual camera setups. They both have dual front-facing sensors. I'm sorry. They have dual cameras on the back. They have 8 megapixel selfie cameras on the front, both of them. Now, the primary sensor on the rear of the LG G7 ThinQ is a 16 megapixel, and then I believe the secondary wide-angle lens is an 8 megapixel shooter. Now, on the back of the Note 9, you've got two 12 megapixel sensors, one 12 megapixel primary, and I believe the other one is a telephoto lens. Both optically image stabilized on both of these devices. And so that is definitely good for both of these devices. And, a lot of the video technologies that we were introduced to on the LG V30 have been implemented here on the LG G7 ThinQ. I mean, so if you're big on media and all that kind of stuff, making videos and doing all kind of cool things with the cinematography features and stuff that come on this phone, then you're really, really going to like the G7 ThinQ. Now, you can't go wrong with the battery or with the camera on the Note 9 because it's definitely one of the best of them. Just that dual aperture mode that we were introduced to on the S9 and the S9 Plus is also implemented here on the Note 9. And so be mindful that you're going to have that option, which is going to, definitely help in lower light situations, take excellent photos. Now, the G7 ThinQ is no punk in low light either, but I can't say that it takes the photos that the Note 9 takes in low light circumstances. But, you got pro mode, portrait mode. You're able to take the bokeh effect, selfies. And, you get a ton of features, functions, different little filters and things to customize. You have editing tools and things. You can adjust the blur. Even though the G7 ThinQ has a dedicated wide-angle lens, the thing that's interesting about the Note 9 is after you take a photo, before you choose, it'll give you an option as to, like, when you're scrolling through the photos, it will give you an option to choose. Let me see if I can go to it real quick. Like, so some of these photos, like this picture that I took here, like it says close up or wide angle. So I can just hit wide angle and then it gives you a wide angle effect. If I hit close up, which is the original picture that I took with it, then it'll just give you the original shot. So although you don't have like a dedicated lens that is specifically for wide angle like you have on the G7 ThinQ, you do have the ability to switch the photos on the Note 9 from the regular view, which is how you took it, or switch it to a wide angle view, and then you can just save the picture however you want it, whether you want it in the primary view or the wide angle view. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, because it's kind of similar. You just don't have, a dedicated wide angle lens camera like you have on the G7 ThinQ. But again, on the G7, I'm pretty sure a lot of you would agree. There's nothing really like having the ability to record or just take a still shot photo and just hit a button and it just gives you that wide angle effect. And then if you want to go back to the primary, then boom, it'll just take you right back up to the primary viewfinder. So, I think that it's a matter of preference at this point. You can't really go wrong with either one of these cameras. And actually here, I'm just going to take a pause for a moment because I took photos from both of these particular cameras. And I tried to take the same picture possible just so you can get a good feel of what it looks like on the G7 versus what it looks like on the Note 9. Now, I've noticed that the Note 9 although both cameras take really good detailed photos, but I did notice on the Note 9 there seems to be a little bit more warm. You know, the photos are a little bit more warm. They have more of a yellowish hue to it, as opposed to the G7. It has a little bit more cool, kind of a bluish effect to it. And this is just standard, just hitting the cameras without adjusting anything and just letting them do their own thing on auto mode. You know what I mean? And so you guys will see what I'm talking about. So, you know, sit back real quick and take a look at these photos and let me know what you think about them, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so you know, now that you guys have seen those, definitely let me know what you guys think about those. You know, I took some portrait mode photos, some selfies of myself. I took a couple of pictures of some other subjects. You know, and I mean, you can't really go wrong with either camera system on either one of these devices. All right. So, you know, but again, both of these phones are very similar in a lot of ways. I mean, like I said, I mean, they're both IP68 water and dust resistant. They both have wireless charge technology. What else? They both have Bluetooth 5.0, but the difference is the Bluetooth 5.0 that I've noticed on the Note 9 gives you that ability to be able to, it gives you more Bluetooth connectivity functions as opposed to the G7 ThinQ. Not to say that the G7 ThinQ aren't able to connect to a couple of different things at once, because it can. But I mean, as far as like having the ability to connect to like different speakers all at the same time around your house, you know, if you just got like a Bluetooth setup, the Note 9 is going to give you that ability. You know, and so I think that that is really cool. Now, also speaking of audio, the LG G7 ThinQ, it's got a single bottom firing boombox speaker, right? It's got the boombox speaker. Now, it sounds really good. It's really loud, but it's just one bottom firing speaker, as opposed to the AKG tuned and improved over the S9 and S9 Plus dual stereo speakers that you get on the Note 9. So the Note 9, you've got a stereo speaker here in the ear receiver, and then you've got another bottom firing speaker here. And matter of fact, here, let's do a little sound test. I'll go ahead and cue up some music, and we'll test out the sound of both of these devices real quick. Hold up. Okay, y'all. So I got one of my favorite copyright-free tracks that my man Jay Will put me on to queued up. It's called Heartbreak. You know, I got that queued up on the G7 ThinQ here. Now, as I mentioned, it has a boombox speaker that's a bottom firing speaker, and it sounds really loud and good just by holding the phone just as it is. But when you set it on a hollow box, then it intensifies the sound. And so this is a hollow box. I mean, new wireless charger that I got with my Note 9 here on promotion. So here, we'll just go ahead and hit play real quick. Okay, see how that sounds? Now tell me if you can notice the difference when I set it on the box. That is crazy. When you set it on the box, big sound just comes from this thing. Okay? And that's just one bottom firing. All right? Okay, now that sounds good, especially considering that it's a bottom firing speaker. Now, I'm going to cue up the same song on the Note 9. And as I mentioned, we've got dual speakers. Speaker here in the ear receiver and a speaker here on the bottom. So here, let me go ahead Cue that up real quick. This goes right to it. Turn the volume all the way up. Okay, here we go. And the Note 9, it's not one of those things where you have to lay it down. You know, it just has big sound. Ah, it's got a little bit of bass to it too. Interesting. I'm just gonna lay it down. All right, now, my overall assessment, both devices sound really good, but I gotta give it to the Note 9. Reason being, because it has two outs to filter the music. And so I noticed that the G7 ThinQ, it's really loud, but a lot of the bass distribution, it's more so treble. It's clear. It's just really clear and really loud. But the bass isn't really filtered to where you can hear it clearly, you know, as you can like all the music from the Note 9. And so it's like the Note 9, if this makes sense, I'm trying to explain this so that it makes more sense. The Note 9, the speaker here at the top provides a lot of like the treble, which is like the clarity, the hi-hats, and, you know, all that kind of thing. But it's interesting because before, when the beat kicked in and it was just the bass drum, you could literally hear and feel the bass on the table, which was coming out from the bottom firing speaker here on the Note 9. And then once the song finally came in with the hi-hats, the bass drum, and all that together, just overall, the music was clearer and everything was more evened out as opposed to just hella loud and clear, which is the bottom firing speaker on the LG G7 ThinQ. So I got to give the nod to the Note 9 here because you've got two speakers and it just filters the sound differently as opposed to filtering the sound all from this bottom firing speaker. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad on the G7. I'm just saying that the music sounds better on the Note 9 because, you know, you got a dual stereo speaker setup as opposed to just a boombox speaker that's bottom firing on the LG G7 ThinQ. Okay, so back in, you know, man. So I just paused the video real quick just to get everything on the table set back up here for you guys. And, you know, I listened to the song again a little bit on the G7 ThinQ, and then I listened to it again on the Note 9. And, you know, there is rich bass that comes from the G7 ThinQ. I think the fact that it's just the music is distributed differently because the sound is only coming from the bottom of this phone as opposed to coming from the bottom and the top. So there may be some of you that may prefer the sound over the G7 ThinQ over the Note 9. Me personally, I would always prefer to have dual stereo speakers. Typically, I'm not going to be sitting there bumping cuts on my phone like that anyway. I mean, I'm either going to be listening to music on my Bluetooth speaker or in my car or something like that. Or, you know, I've got sound bars with subwoofers in the house, you know, that I can connect via Bluetooth and listen to music that way. So audio quality from a phone is not really a big deal to me. But, you know, I know a lot of you out there that may not, you know, have some of these things, or that's something that you may prefer to do. And so that was just an example really quickly on the sound quality on both of these devices. Really, in my opinion, you just can't go wrong with either one of them, in my opinion. It's just a matter of preference. Do you want a bottom firing loudspeaker, or do you want dual stereo speakers? Yes, that's really what it all boils down to. But I hope that that little sample, I hope you guys can hear enough to give you an understanding of what it is that I was trying to articulate to you guys about the sound quality from both of these devices. You can't go wrong with either one of them. They both sound really good. Now, both of these devices, they do have 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks. Now, the G7 ThinQ has the hi-fi 32-bit quad DAC. There is a 32-bit DAC that is in the Galaxy Note 9 as well, but it's not a hi-fi quad DAC. And so testing this in one of my cars, I have to say that although you've got some functionality to tweak the sound and really customize it to your liking and really make it sound good on the Note 9, the fact is the LG G7 ThinQ just gives you more, because you've got not only the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC. That hi-fi really it really helps out, but then you also got DTSX surround sound to help complement that hi-fi quad DAC. And so I noticed that when in the car where where I can just plug in to my 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and connect to my Bose system in the car, and we know that Bose is a top dog, you know what I mean? So they produce some excellent sound quality. So it's like I'm testing the music on both of these devices on a Bose stereo system in my car. And the LG ThinQ, the G7 ThinQ, just sounds way cleaner because it offers you way more options and customizable things within its equalizer and preset settings, as opposed to what's being offered on the Galaxy Note 9. And to me, at first I thought it was close, but then I went back and listened to it again. And me personally, I mean, the hi-fi quad DAC on the G7 is just completely blowing the one on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 out of the water. Now, it was a good effort on the Note 9, and I figured, if you don't have an LG device that has a 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC, then you definitely can't go wrong with the 32-bit DAC that is on the Note 9. But trust me when I tell you, man, if you have the ability to get both of these phones, or just get a Samsung device that has get a Note 9 and get any LG device that has the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC, plug them both in and do the test for yourself. And I'm telling you, the difference is there's no discussion. There's no debating the difference. Okay? You're getting more, which means that you can customize the sound more so to your liking and make it sound much better than what's being offered here on the Galaxy Note 9. Now, if you're the type to plug in, just like headphones and just have like over-the-ear headphones, or just the ones that go in the ear, then both of the technologies in the 3.5 millimeter jacks on both of these phones are going to upscale. So you're going to get some good sound quality, but I just think you're going to get richer sound, better sound overall on the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC on the LG versus what you're going to get on the Note 9 here. Not saying it's going to sound terrible on the Note 9. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the LG G7 ThinQ, it's just going to be a better overall listening experience because it's giving you more to customize to your liking. And I feel like when I'm listening to music, the more customizations that I've got to fine tune the music to how I like to listen to music, the better. And that's what the LG G7 ThinQ is giving you here over the Galaxy Note 9. All right. So to wrap the video up, I mean, to pit, one against the other, if I had to choose, that's a tough call, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I've got both of these phones. Because as far as like, an S Pen and all that kind of thing, well, obviously the LG doesn't have that. And we all know that the Note 9 is just completely obliterating and destroying the Stylo 4. That's being marketed as a budget device. And so that can't even compare. It doesn't even come close to the Note 9 here. But the S Pen, man, the S Pen is killing the market. And so in that particular regard, I would have to choose the Note 9. As far as screen quality and, media, I would also prefer the Note 9 because it has the bigger screen, and the screen is a little bit better on the Note 9 than it is on the G7 ThinQ. Not saying that the G7 ThinQ is bad by any stretch of the imagination, because this too is a Quad HD panel, but it just doesn't quite live up to what's being offered here on the Note 9. This 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display. You know, I'm so excited next Friday to get my hands on the iPhone the iPhone XS Max. J Will, man, yo, bro, if you watch this video, man, shout out to J Will, man. That's my big bro, man. Man, I'm trying to practice that restraint, my guy. I'm trying to hold out for that XR, man, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do it, man, because that 6.5-inch iPhone X is calling me, brother. And we all know that that's definitely gonna be the phone that's gonna be put against this Note 9 here to try to, you know, dethrone it. So next Friday, you guys may be hearing maybe seeing an unboxing video for that that iPhone XS Max. So definitely looking forward to that and just kind of see how the screen on it compares to the screen here on the Galaxy Note 9. Now, as far as sound quality on both of these devices, I gotta say, as far as if I am listening to music from either one of these devices, again, I'm gonna prefer to do it on the Note 9 because it's giving you dual stereo speakers as opposed to the bottom firing boombox speaker that's on the LG. The LG bottom firing boombox speaker does not sound bad at all, as you guys heard, but I would just prefer to have dual speakers as opposed to just one. Okay, two, better than one, in my personal opinion, in that particular regard. But if I'm plugging in, listening to music, oh my goodness, the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC on the LG G7 ThinQ definitely blows the one that's on the Galaxy Note 9 out of the water. Camera, that's a bit of a toss-up because it's like, what do you want? You want a wide-angle camera or you want a dual aperture mode lens? Things that make you go, Pretty much the same technology you can do on both of these devices, but the other thing that, you know, the LG kind of gives you a little bit more because you got that cinematography, that cinema effect type of stuff, you know, stuff that you see in movies, you know, you're able to do as far as like, you know, like panning and stuff like that. You can do here on the G7 ThinQ. I mean, so again, you know, if you're into multimedia stuff, you know, then you're really going to like what the G7 is offering here. I'm not saying that there isn't some bells and whistles on the Note 9, but I don't think they're to the extent of what's being offered here on the G7 ThinQ as far as like the media side of the media stuff that you can do with this particular camera. The G7 ThinQ is smaller, it's lighter. Not everybody's gonna want a 6.4-inch display. You know, the Note 9, it's a little bit heavy. It can get kind of cumbersome at times. You know, the 6.1-inch display on the G7 ThinQ here, I mean, you see how easy that fits in my hand. It's very easy to navigate. The phone is nice and thin and narrow. And so, you know, some people are going to gravitate more towards the G7 because of its size and just how lightweight it is and how it can easily fit into your pocket and maneuver around with as opposed to the Note 9. So, you know, the G7's got that going for it. But again, you know, all in all, I mean, you know, they're pretty, you know, same specs. Both of them got Snapdragon 845 processors, 6 gigs of RAM here, 4 gigs of RAM here, 128 gigs of onboard storage here, 64 gigs of onboard storage here. Both of them can be expanded up to 2 terabytes, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, 4,000 milliamp hour battery. They both have face unlock. I know that the Note 9 kind of goes a little bit harder in the paint in that particular regard because it gives you that extra security feature where it will scan your irises along with your face to make it more complicated for somebody to get into your device. Both of these devices have lightning fast fingerprint sensors. Yeah, I mean, they're both performance beasts. Here's the killer though. $1,000. $750 starting. And this has been out for like 2 or 3 months, so you can get that cheaper right now. You guys be the judge, man. That's a tough one. You know, let me know which 2 of these devices. If you don't have either one of these devices, or if you have one of these devices and you saw this video, if you had to choose one of these 2 devices, which one would it be? I'm curious. Based off what you saw here from this particular video. Alright, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed the comparison video of the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 versus the LG G7 ThinQ. If you like this video, you already know what to do. Smash that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share the video, subscribe to expose yourself to tons of videos that I've done like this one, and definitely stay tuned because I've got so much more content to come. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be the first to view the content as soon as I upload it. And you can also be the first to share your thoughts, inputs. If you've got questions, comments, you already know how to get a hold of me. All right? So you guys already know, man. Please keep it safe. Definitely get spiritually fit 2018. And keep it pristine in every aspect of your lives. I'll catch you guys in the next video. This is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. This is the LG G7 ThinQ. We out. Peace. Catch y'all in the next one.